You parents out there with teenagers, can you imagine giving up your business and spending all your days not only with your teenager, but lots of other teenagers as well? Well, the next guest that I have today did that very thing, and now she's helping lots of teenagers all across the island. I want to welcome Delarice Gregoire, who is the head of Hawaii Leadership Camp, Hawaii Leadership Academy, and also Winners Camp.
Yes.
And her guests as well, Kalei Lamb and Amanda Hutchinson, and we're going to get into a little bit more about everybody's role. But Delarice, what are you thinking? Tell us about how you started Winners Camp.
I started it 28 years ago. Can you believe that we're 28 years? And now the kids that went to the very first camps, they're in their 40s. It's amazing. I started it because I went to a seminar and I said, wow, if we had this as teenagers, this information, these acronyms, these things that I learned at that seminar, our teenage years would be so much smoother. Instead of in conflict and resolution, it would be joy and celebration, and it's proven to be true. And so we started Winners Camp with a group of people that just had a belief for giving teenagers tools to make positive choices, because the teen years are so challenging. No matter who you are, and no matter what a good, wonderful life you've had, your parents are wonderful to you, everybody's wonderful, it's still tough to go through it. And then for the kids that don't have parents that can take care of them and nurture them, then it's even tougher. So we give them a safe, supportive place to discover what it means to be a human being and to start to really like themselves.
Now, when you started on Kauai, right, on the island of Kauai?
Actually, no, we started at Timberline.
Oh, Timberline,
Camp
okay.
Timberline, then we went to Mokuleia, then we went to different places, and we kept getting kicked out of places. And so we ended up on Kauai because the people over on Kauai have a heart for kids, not all our islanders do. And they said, we want to support Winners Camp over here. So we did it at Kahili Mountain Park. It was amazing. And the people over in Kauai just really supported us for 10 whole years. Then I got to the point where I thought, oh, I need our own place, because the last camp, the straw that broke the camel's back, the last camp, we had it all set up, 60 kids coming, and then the place that we were going to use told us we couldn't use it because they were having their youth group from the mainland come. Well, rightfully so, it's their camp. So I said, that's not going to happen again. So went to Rotary and told them that our dilemma, and then within 3 days, another Rotarian got us the place that we now have on the top of Kamihami Ridge, the ridge between Hawaii Kai and Waimanalo. And you know that place, because remember when you came up and volunteered and painted way long time ago.
I know. I remember when we first went up to, I don't know if you were around. Did either one of you get to see the very, very beginning of the camp?
No.
Well, I can just tell you my impression, because I went up, and it's at the very top of Kamihami Ridge, which is where you get to the very top, and that's where the not skydivers, but hang gliders jump off and actually jump onto and go out and fly over Makapu. So that's what you can see at the very, very top. But at the camp, which is right below the summit, it was, let me see, there was graffiti all over the walls. There was these cement, rooms with no screens or anything like that. No
windows,
no winding,
electricity,
it was dirty
water
everywhere.
It was disgusting.
And there was weeds that were taller than us, and koa trees everywhere, and an abandoned car or something. I mean, there was a lot of junk there.
Eight roll-offs came in.
Yep, and all kinds of tires.
And all volunteers did that.
And graffiti everywhere.
Amazing graffiti.
And actually some nice graffiti.
Yeah. We
some
didn't
pretty
know.
Nice art.
We wanted to save it.
But then you were saying, you look at this place and you go, it's perfect. And I thought, how can anybody say this is perfect? But you had the vision all along.
My board of directors thought I was crazy, but I saw the kids. I could actually, in my mind, see, and in my heart, and in my ears, hear and feel them there. It was magical. I got chicken skin just driving up there. And the gentleman who was so wonderful that brought to our attention, he says, I brought a lot of people up here, and they turn around and they go, are you crazy? And I just felt it's so spiritual up there.
It's a magical place.
I believe the kids changed just coming up on the bus.
It's a magical place. I remember after sunset and all the clouds rolling in through the windows, and all the clouds were turning orange and pink up there, and we're standing in these orange and pink clouds at the top of this most incredible place.
Awesome.
So it really, really is beautiful.
Well,
so.
you remember from day one. Thank you.
Yeah, so I'm so amazed at what you've accomplished and how beautiful it is now.
All with volunteers.
Yes,
That's
right.
so,
You've had military volunteers, Rotary.
What did they say? All branches of the military have been up there. Mostly all the Rotarian clubs have been up there. It's been incredible. The Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, all kinds of people. It has so much heart up there because of all the people that went there and gave their hearts to that place.
So, Kalei, one of your roles now is you're the caretaker.
Yes.
Right? And you have
Malia.
many roles, though.
I serve wear all the different hats at Winter's Camp. We started in 2010. My wife and I are full-time resident caretakers there, so we're there full-time. We also serve as chaplains for the camp, and we're also facilitators for a lot of different events. We bring the cultural aspect too, because we incorporate a lot of Hawaiiana hula and chant and oli. We founded a halau on the mainland, and after moving back to Hawaii, we continued that. So we enjoy the atmosphere of the camp and really the charter and the focus of the camp that's outside the core curriculum. It's things that educators wish they could teach but can't because they have to stick to their, you don't teach problem solving and conflict resolution in a, regular academic.
Even though it probably should be taught, right?
Well, that should be the foundation for everything else to be built on, but unfortunately we go for the academics and then, kids don't know how to get up in front of a crowd and speak to a group. That's something that they need to do. How are you going to interview for a job if you got an A in math, but that's not going to help you.
Right. So what inspired you how did you end up back at Winter's Camp from the mainland?
A mutual friend was a previous caretaker and had mentioned Winter's Camp, and actually it was the first time we had heard about it. So we kind of Googled it, looked and found out what it was all about, and came and met Della Reese, and we met Amanda and Della Reese for the first time and talked to them and really felt good about the organization, and we've been there ever since.
Okay. Well,
Diane,
go ahead.
Diane, what's Kalei's wife, she's just got a gentle spirit, and the kids feel so safe talking to her. So the couple that they are, they bring a family experience to the kids for a lot of kids who don't have families. Most of the kids that come to camp have good families, but there are a few that don't. So they can relate to them, and they can go to them, and they can talk to them. And they really give them a lot of spiritual guidance because they're such wonderful souls. And they're much more than caretakers to us. They hold the space. They make sure that everything's safe, secure, and that it looks really good.
Now, are you the one with the dog, the neat dog, the big dog that runs around?
That's the Martinos.
Oh, that's a neat dog that runs around.
He comes up.
Right, he's cool. And then what about food? Are you guys the ones that cook?
My wife and I help with the kitchen. We have some awesome kitchen personnel that staff and run the menu, and they've been doing it for how many years?
Because your food is known far and wide. It's good food.
Yeah,
I mean, the kids know they can get as much as they want, right?
Yeah. Well, your son probably told you about that. 12 years they've been coming up volunteering. Their son went to camp and now he's living in China, and he has 2.5 children, and he's coming back to the islands. And then their second son is our ropes course coordinator and also the on-site camp director. So this family has been involved for 12 years. And can you imagine that they could go and buy all the food and come up and prepare it, and the kids just love it. Right, Amanda?
Of course. And something that I found really interesting about this camp in particular, because I've grown up going to Bible camps and YMCA camps, and nobody ever thinks about the vegetarians and the diabetics and people with special dietary things that they need. And that's something that's always just been so spot on, taking care of every single person. If you walk up that mountain, you will be taken care of no matter what your needs are, just period. It's not even a question.
We even have vegan meals.
Yes.
Wow.
That's a lot of work.
Pretty impressive.
It's a lot of work.
Right, to keep track of all that. Well, who can I ask about to take us day by day through what a typical camp would be and who goes there? Would that be good for Amanda to answer?
Ta-da!
So Amanda, tell me about, first of all, do you mind telling me a little bit about yourself and how did you get involved with Winter's Camp?
Yes, I got involved with Winter's Camp. I go to church with with Delarice, and also several of the staff that have been assisting with Winter's Camp for years and years and years. They were campers and just have these great supportive camp families. And it was actually my Sunday school teacher who was a facilitator up at camp, and he said, Amanda, you've got to come to this, you'd be great, it'll help you so much. And at first I was kind of, but after a little bit of convincing, I said, yeah, okay, I'll go. And so I went and I fell in love with it and have not missed a camp since.
And how many years ago was that?
4 years ago. I think coming up this summer, it'll be my 12th or 13th camp.
So you're a facilitator, but you started off as a student,
as
a participant, as a camper, right? And tell us what a typical camp is like. Like how many kids are there? What do you do on the first day when you get up there? What's it like?
So staff are up there a couple of days before so that our staff can get our bearings and get our staff training in for the newer ones, and just so that we can really get into the right mindset. And then on the second or third day, we have lots of campers coming up. It depends on which camp. Usually, I'd say on average, it's close to 60 campers. And campers come up the mountains and are always I love to see the look on their faces because they're greeted by half a dozen smiling staff jumping up and down, screaming with pom-poms, just going nuts.
That's fun.
And it's a good first impression though.
Yeah.
And so campers get all settled in. On the first day we have a facilitator come up named Alan Silva, and he always does a lot of good goal setting, and he has all the campers do work with basketball and Hawaiiana, and he relates all of these great messages into so many different areas so that all of these campers can relate. And then
Alan, by the way, has been actually on the show before.
Oh.
Yep, a long time ago.
He's been supporting us since day one.
Yep.
He's an amazing.
Came on with Delarice many years ago when we did our very first Winter's Camp.
Yep.
When we did our very first Winter's Camp show many moons ago. Sorry, Amanda, tell us more. Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you. But
Clear. Demonstrate clear.
So one of the things we learn at camp is clear, and that's clear last event and refocus. And so if you do something wrong, instead of, I messed up, or I'm never going to get this right, just go clear and then restart it. So
it's good advice.
Yes.
I could use that. Maybe I'll do that about 15, 20 times a day.
Yeah, I do.
At least.
And then each day we go into more team activities, and we do team bonding with all of the campers are put into teams, and they have 2 team leaders for each team. So as the days go by, they get to know their teams more and just build closer bonds that way, while still knowing everybody in the camp and having a ohana out of everybody. And so second day at camp, we have a lot of the really fun, energetic activities just to help all the campers step out of their shell. So we always try to give opportunities for them to get on stage, like Uncle was saying, because a lot of kids don't really know how to step up on a stage and just be completely comfortable in their own skin with who they are. Jump outside their comfort zone, take a risk, and enter the courage zone. And so we do a lot of work with that and just make things fun and keep the energy up so that normally by the third day, once we get to there, everybody's in love with each other.
Wild about each
other. The whole
other.
Camp is wild about each other. And they're just, at that point, we can really start getting into the trusting activities. So we do autobiographies where we go deeper into our own personal story, because you'll find that when you know more about a person, the trust is higher. When the trust is high, the drama is low. And so we set that up right from the start. And so from there, we go into some of our low ropes courses and do team building through that. And
now explain, because a lot of people might not know what you mean by low ropes, but you actually have a whole gigantic ropes course.
Yes.
That people learn to go across and trust each other with and fall from and all that kind of stuff. So you're talking about low ropes course. What's that exactly?
Low ropes courses are very literal. So it's very not dangerous whatsoever. None of our ropes courses are dangerous, but they're very easy, low gradients. They're challenging, but there's not so much of the fear factor as for some of the others that there might be. So something really interesting about our ropes courses as well is that all of them are linked to something. They're anchored to something. And so instead of just saying, oh yeah, you're gonna cross this rope and then you're gonna grab onto this and then everybody's gonna cheer. Instead it's, all right, so you're gonna use this as a metaphor for building a better relationship, or you're gonna use this as problem solving, and then afterwards we'll debrief and we'll figure out, all right, so what was challenging about that? How do you think, did anybody have any thoughts or ideas on how that could relate to real life? How can you bring this down the mountain after camp? And so everybody always has a really good time with that. And then going into the fourth day, a lot of the times we'll keep on doing the low ropes courses, and we'll also go into high ropes courses, which are the rock wall and all of these other kind of higher, scarier ones, but they're all 100% safe. And so we'll go into those and we'll keep linking them to metaphors for building better relationships with your family, for doing better in school, and how are you going to make that goal. And then after they've completed these, they state their goal as if they've already accomplished it. So I, Amanda, now get a 4.0 in school, or whatever my goal had been that I set. And so it really just helps all the campers to anchor so many more things than they would if they had just climbed a rock wall.
Now I know my son went to camp, and one of the things he came back with was a wood piece that he had written some things on. I think one side was goals, and the other thing was the other side were your challenges.
Fears.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Fears.
False evidence appearing real.
False evidence appearing real. And then you get to break those boards, right?
And metaphorically, that's just saying that you broke through your limiting beliefs, your fears, and you broke through to achieving your goal. And so many of the kids, they take their boards with them to college and university, and they keep them on their desk, and it's a real conversation piece. And it's also an anchor, as Amanda was saying. It's an anchor to remember every time you look at that board, whoa, I did something I thought was utterly impossible. And how did you feel the first time you ever broke a board? Do you remember what your goal was?
I do. My goal was to graduate from high school with a 3.5 or higher, and then to get into the college of my choice. And I had always watched my sister at karate tournaments growing up, and I saw her break bricks and break boards, and I never did karate because I never thought that I could compare to her. I never thought that I could do that. I was always the little sister. And so I saw, okay, we're gonna break boards, and I was thinking, okay. So I saw Della Reese do it in the beginning, and she demonstrated, and then some of the staff members demonstrated, and I thought, okay, I can really do this. And when I broke through it, I was amazed with my own ability, not just physically to break a board, because breaking a board is useless in itself, but my ability to break through my goals and break through all of the fears and apprehensions that I had.
Right, it's pretty neat, and then to be able to take it home and keep it with you all through the rest of your life, and certainly through college years, right?
Yes.
So Amanda, where are you now in terms of, where are you in your life in terms of, are you in college or?
I'm a high school student at Kalani High School. Next year I'll be going into my senior year. I was actually set up to graduate an entire year early, and then decided not to. Senior year is important, so I'm taking one class next year.
Wow, the ideal senior year.
I only need one credit to graduate, so I'm doing that class AP, and then taking a couple of others for fun, like calculus and AP physics
That's
and all those
fun.
other
I know. Doesn't that
all
sound
those other
fun?
fun classes.
Wow, no thanks. I was thinking of theater or art class, but calculus wouldn't be my first choice for fun. But hey, whatever.
But,
That's great.
but if I have the time and ability, then
Yeah,
why
that's
not?
great.
She
That's
always
super.
comes and volunteers at Winners Camp.
Uh-huh.
She's just amazing. She's
That's so
always
great.
showing up. She gets out of school sometimes because the teachers and the administration
Mm-hmm.
think that it's worth for her to come to that. I would like to hear from you from a mom's point of view after Michael went to camp.
Yeah, this is my first time I've had the interviewee turn around and interview me. No, but that's fine. I would be happy to share. I had my son Michael, who was, I think, was last year, so he must have been 16 when he came. And the good news is he's a big eater, so he was easily won over at camp when he got all the good food that he could
The boys
possibly
like
want,
it.
homemade. And there was a basketball hoop there. Very important since he's into basketball, plays basketball at school and loves basketball. And he definitely came home, more appreciative of his family, better communicating. He, how you give, well, the nice thing is you bring the parents up at the end and we get to hear from the kids, and you also get those hearts, they're velvet hearts.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Red hearts that you give, and that he can give me when it's my turn to talk, and I give it back to him when it's his turn to talk, so nobody gets interrupted, right?
Yes.
And so, he still gives that to me. He still gives that to me when I'm not supposed to talk. He's still doing that a year later. But no, it's good for goal setting. It's good for SAT scores to talk about that, to start getting serious about that. Made a lot of nice friends in the community, and a lot of kids from his school were there as well, but there's also Neighbor Island kids.
Mm-hmm.
And
And
so,
now this year we have kids from the mainland and from Japan and China.
wow,
Isn't that awesome?
international. So you get to meet a lot of new kids and make some good friends and learn a lot about yourself and address some of your fears and set some goals. And I think that's really good.
I think, Malia, it's also important to mention that the camp, although it's fun, it's fun for the kids because they always want to come back. And we see a lot of them kind of when they first come, I didn't want to come to the camp. And by the end of the camp, when can I come back? I want to staff. And
Exactly.
so obviously it speaks to that it's relevant to their age, but also it's very structured. It's been refined over many years. It's not a babysitting, let's throw a movie on and give them some pizza and get some fun things, keep them occupied and send them home. Everything from the moment they get there, it's structured and focused in a certain order, and it gets intense as the camp, like Amanda was saying, you have some low gradient, not so challenging, break the ice, get to know each other, some games, and by the end of camp, it's full on intense. And they're taking home useful life tools that they can, and a lot of these kids are teaching their parents things that they learned at camp, how to communicate, because all parents are not the best communicators. We didn't grow up, sometimes our parents, didn't know how to communicate, didn't know how to call a family meeting and resolve conflicts, so it ends up a dysfunctional setting, and the kids actually come home bringing some useful tools that they learned in camp and know how to address these issues. So it ends up being a training for the parents as well as the kids.
Well said.
It's true, it's true. And even my sister had said, wow, she didn't really know about Winners Camp, and then she noticed how much Michael changed when he came out. So she said, I think I'm going to send my kids there. How old do they have to be? And of course her kids are 2 and 5, so she has a little ways to go. A little ways to go. So you'll just have to keep working and keep the camp going for a long
I'm
time.
having my grandchildren. One is going to be staffing as a junior leader, and one is coming to camp. So this is a dream come true summer for me, to see the second generation come to camp. And my son has been totally supportive. If he didn't help me out as much as he did, I could never do camp, because we operate on a real shoestring. So every penny that's donated or every penny that's spent is spent on program and not administration.
I think last year when in the summer my son went with your grandson
Yes.
to camp.
Yes, they had a great time.
And so he got to meet him, and they were in the same school, although a little different ages. So
But they
that's
got
good.
to be buddies. And then,
And that's a nice thing. You meet so many different people from so many backgrounds and learn from them, not just from what camp experience, but also from meeting so many people.
Yep. It's awesome. It's an awesome experience. I think it's the best thing. What do I say on my? It's the best place for a teenager to be on the planet.
It's
and
true.
That's no exaggeration.
It's true.
Would you agree?
It's true.
Yes. yes.
So in we have a couple of minutes left. Maybe you can give some examples of some slogans, and then we'll go into when your camps are. So we'll make sure that we let people know about when the summer camps are available.
I think my favorite one is if it's to be, it's up to me.
So say it again. If it's what?
If it's to be, it's up to me.
If it's
So
it's
you don't-
if it's to be, it's up to me. And you do hand motions with everything, so you remember
Yes,
it,
so
right?
It's visual, auditory, and kinesthetic.
And it's all up in the wall too, where you actually where you go in, where you have kind of the slogans are all up there when you go into the main room, and you can
What
kind of
is
see
your
that,
favorite?
right?
My favorite is you can't get ahead while you're trying to get even.
That's a good one. That's a good one. It's a good one for your whole life to remember that, right?
Yes. What's yours?
I like repetition is the mother of skill. Because so many times, even in secular workplace, somebody shows you something, they call that training, and they say, okay, you're trained. Well, no. A lot of things have to be repeated over and over. So by the end of camp, it's ingrained. They see the posters every day, they hear it, they hear the staff using those tools, and then it becomes part of their culture. And that's the hard part to as an educator, to get something where it changes the culture of a person, a family, a community, a city.
Malcolm Gladwell wrote a really good book, not The Tipping Point, but it's one of his other books. But he talked about how to really master something, you have to spend 10,000 hours to master it.
Wow.
And he talked about the founders of Apple and IBM and how they spend so much time because they had opportunity and they took the time to actually put into it. 10,000 hours was the time where you'd actually be able to achieve a skill. So got a lot more practice to do, right?
Yes.
So do I.
We all do.
And what are some of the other slogans that people learn?
The clear. What was?
Clear last event and refocus. Change happens and new growth emerges.
So that's a good one. Okay, when are your camps?
The public camp, we're doing a camp in June for the military. We're so grateful that we got that funding for those people, especially for the kids whose parents are deployed. Can you imagine what that's like?
Yeah.
So that's in June, but that's not open to the public. The one open to the public is July 22nd to the 28th. July 22nd to the 28th. The best place for a teenager to be. And I'll be there, and I'll make sure that I take really good care of your teenager, because I know they're the most precious thing in your life.
That's right.
You know.
Now, yes. So what is your website so people can check it out?
Winnerscamp.com, real simple.
Winnerscamp.com, and you're a nonprofit, and people can, come and they can pay the tuition. Sometimes you have scholarships, and also people can donate.
Yes, and
If businesses
the
want to
donations
get involved.
keep us going, and when you donate, every penny goes to program.
All
So
right.
you know that your dollar is well spent.
Can you believe we're out of time? But thank you for such a great show.
Yay!
And thank you for joining us today. This has been News Behind the News. Aloha.